you so much, Steph. And yes, we have a lot to break down here. So first, we are expected to learn more today about these new pandemic restrictions from the Ford government, as grim projections indicate that COVID-19 cases could overwhelm our healthcare system in weeks.
Ontario is declaring a state of emergency. We expect this to remain in place for at least 28 days. Further, I'm issuing a stay-at-home order effective Thursday at 12:01 a.m.
The stay-at-home order means non-essential retailers can only be open between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Grocery stores, pharmacies, and restaurants are not restricted. All construction sites deemed non-essential will also be shut down. Outdoor gatherings limited to just 5 people with face coverings recommended. Prime Minister Trudeau will be speaking to Premier Ford in a private meeting today. Now, the province will also release the legal parameters for the stay-at-home order today and offer some more clarification, because there are a lot of questions when it comes to these fines, even potential of jail time for non-compliance. As for schools, in the hotspot zones, not returning to in-person learning until at least February the 10th.
As I've said from the beginning, when it comes to our children, I will not take any unnecessary risks.
We do want them to go back as soon as they can, but their safety is paramount, and we always have to err on the side of safety when it comes to our children.
Okay, so that means all schools in the hotspot regions of Toronto, York, Hamilton, Peel, and Windsor-Essex will not be going back to in-person learning until at least the second week of February. There will also be measures taken at schools, including mandatory masks for grades 1 to 3, enhanced screening, and an increase in testing. An update about when schools in other regions, when they can open, well, that's expected on January the 20th. And the second provincial state of emergency and stay-at-home orders come as Ontario hospitals are stretched to the limit.
Care for thousands of patients waiting for surgery will be delayed or cancelled while we add more patients to these wait lists. It is critical to remember that when care is delayed, patients get sicker and their prognosis worsens.
So grim modeling that was released yesterday showing we could see COVID-related deaths spike before the vaccine can help. New projections indicate daily deaths will double from 50 to 100 between now and the end of next month, with new measures in place. In a worst-case scenario, the growth rate could get up to 7%, which it has already in some days, meaning we could see up to 40,000 new cases per day. The new, more contagious variant of this virus, it's also a cause for concern, with 8 more cases identified in the province, bringing the total to 14. So this afternoon at 1 o'clock, the Ontario Medical Association releasing the top 5 recommendations from doctors to improve long-term care in the province. As we know, that is a big issue. And we are standing by live right now at Queen's Park, and that is where healthcare professionals will be holding a rally at noon today to demand that the Ford government respond to calls for paid sick days for essential workers. This rally is being called a die-in, and healthcare providers, including nurses and doctors, will be covering people with blankets when they lie down. And we'll dig a little bit deeper when it comes to those paid sick days, because that has definitely been a criticism. Now this, Canada's provincial governments are calling on Ottawa to address a nationwide COVID-19 vaccine shortage. And Prime Minister Trudeau says the federal government is about to deliver.
Been able to give very clear direction and information to the provinces on how many vaccine doses they'll be receiving every week between now and the end of February, which allows them to plan and manage their rollout processes. But at the same time, we're going to continue working to see if we can't get a few more doses, because all Canadians want this to move forward as quickly as possible.
Alberta is projecting a 20,000 vaccine shortage by next week. And BC reporting they have already run out. Trudeau says Canada has secured an extra 20 million doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech that shot, and that Canada will receive 80 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines this year. By June, our country will have enough doses to vaccinate 20 million people. And a reminder here, the Canada-U.S. border, it is now going to remain closed to non-essential travel until at least February the 21st. These restrictions were first put into place in mid-March of last year. And the U.S. is joining the list of countries requiring air travelers to show proof of a negative COVID test upon arrival. U.S. officials say those coming into the country, including their own citizens, will need to show that they tested negative prior to traveling. Other countries like Canada have implemented similar rules. The new U.S. rules take effect on the 26th of the month. And on the political scene now, despite the urging of House Democrats, Vice President Mike Pence says he has no intention of removing Donald Trump from the White House. Calls for Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment came in the wake of last week's violence on Capitol Hill. Democrats did, in fact, vote to ask Pence to consider ousting Trump, but he quickly dismissed the idea. However, Democrats say they will push ahead with an impeachment vote as early as today, and at least 3 Republicans say they will support the opposition's call for Trump to leave.
Here's the truth. The president caused this. The president is unfit, and the president is unwell.
Even if the Democrats can persuade enough Republicans to vote for impeachment, the Senate still needs to hold a trial. And with just 7 days left in Trump's term, that may be difficult to do. So what can we expect today as the House moves forward to vote to impeach Trump for a second time? Coming up here at 6:30, I'm going to be speaking with a U.S.-based political reporter on the very latest. You're also going to hear from Trump himself. And coming up next in business, General Motors unveiling a virtual look at its single-seat flying vehicle. It's complete with Cadillac branding. This is interesting. Mike Epple, and if he wants to take a ride, that's next.